What's going on, sports fans? Welcome back to Suckerfree Sports Talk. This is the 16th episode of Suckerfree Sports Talk. Like always, make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms, like and subscribe to this channel. And with that, on today's episode, I'm going to tell you what needs to happen for the Chicago Bulls at the NBA trade deadline. I'm going to give you my predictions for Conference Championship Week in the NFL. We're going to do some shit that pisses me off. We're going to do a who's hot and who's not. But first, it's the hot topic right now. We're going to do a Chicago Bears mock draft.
Chicago Bears mock draft.
The Chicago Bears are on the clock. Like everybody knows, they have the first pick in the draft. And in this scenario, the Chicago Bears trade back with an unlikely team. I have the Bears trading back with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Seattle Seahawks, you might be thinking, well, they have a quarterback. They have Geno Smith. Well, Geno Smith is an unrestricted free agent going into next year. And also, if you're the Seattle Seahawks and you're looking at this team, is Geno Smith the guy you really want to ride with for the next few years? The guy is already 30 years old. He had a good year last year, but he hasn't proven much so far in his career in the NFL. And the Seattle Seahawks have the 5th pick and the 20th overall pick in the first rounds in this upcoming draft. So they have those 2 first-round picks. I could see a team like Seattle moving up, taking that first pick from the Bears, and giving up their 2 first-round picks. So in this scenario, it's a blockbuster trade. The Bears trade back. They pick up the 5th overall pick. They pick up the 20th overall pick, as well as a second-round pick in this upcoming draft. 4th round pick, 120th overall, as well as a 2nd and 3rd round pick next year. But with that, the Bears are on the clock with the 5th pick, and they're going to get their guy here. They're still going to get their guy, Jalen Carter, out of Georgia, the defensive lineman. Now, you look at this guy, his production hasn't been that great in his time at Georgia. He had 3 sacks 2 years ago and 3 sacks this past year. Not a lot of production. That's kind of worrisome. Look at another guy, Will Anderson out of Alabama. He had the production. He had the double-digit sack numbers. But you watch this guy, Jalen Carter, on tape. He absolutely dominates, gets double-teamed game in and game out, and he absolutely dominates those double teams. Yeah, the sack numbers aren't there, but still, you watch this guy on tape, and he absolutely dominates the opposition. With the 20th pick overall, that 20th pick that they picked up from Seattle as well, I think the Bears are going to pick up a guy, Devin Witherspoon. I've been talking about this guy all year long, out of Illinois, cornerback. I think the Bears would be lucky to get him at 20, but if they do, they got to pick this guy up. And then you might be saying, well, the Bears do have some depth there at cornerback. They have Kyler Gordon. They have Jalen Johnson, but you still need another guy back there. I would move Kyler Gordon in at the slot, and you got to pick up a guy like Devin Witherspoon if he's still available. This guy is going to be a dynamite NFL player. The attitude he plays with, the aggressiveness he plays with is going to translate to the NFL level. I would pick up Devin Witherspoon at number 20. At the 37th overall pick in the 2nd round, the Bears pick up Noah Sewell, linebacker out of Oregon. He has NFL pedigree. His brother plays for the Lions, an offensive lineman. This guy is a freak athlete at the linebacker position. Does have some instinct problems. He doesn't read the offensive guard and center too well, but still, this guy is a freak athlete at the linebacker position. You know we need linebackers after trading Roquan Smith away. The Bears pick up Noah Sewell in my mock draft. 53rd overall, this is the pick that the Bears picked up from the Ravens. I have them taking Felix Ndike-Uzama, a defensive end out of Kansas State. This guy is a big-time player. He was the Big 12 co-defensive player of the year. Great explosion for this guy. He is a little bit raw, so he's going to have to get some work at the next level, but this is a guy you can see the Bears picking up in the 2nd round, Felix Ndike-Uzama. At 65th overall in the 3rd round, I have the Bears picking up Jalen Duncan, offensive tackle from Maryland. This guy is a freak athlete for his size, 6'6", 330 pounds. You know the Bears are going to be looking for some offensive linemen. Ryan Poles, the former offensive lineman, loves these guys. I have him taking Jalen Duncan out of Maryland. 103 overall, I have the Bears taking Tajay Sharp, running back out of Tulane. This guy's a little undersized, a little skinny, but he is explosive. He could be a good complement there depending on who the Bears keep at running back, whether it be Montgomery or Herbert. At 120th overall, I have the Bears taking McClendon Curtis. Kind of a weird name here. He has a last name for his first name and a first name for his last name. But regardless, this guy is a guard out of Chattanooga. Good size for this guy. For a guard, he is really big, 6'6", 325 pounds plus. That's really big for a guard. He's super nasty, super strong. He does need some work, though, at the next level. That's why I have him falling all the way to 120th. At 134th overall, the Bears take Brenton Cox Jr., edge out of Florida. Guy had some character issues in college. He kind of bounced around his last year at Florida. He didn't finish the year. Him and his coach kind of came to an agreement that he was going to sit out the rest of the year. That's kind of concerning, but this guy is a huge talent. He is like a third to second round talent, but I have him falling all the way to 134th in this mock draft. At 136th overall, I have the Bears taking Elijah Higgins, wide receiver out of Stanford. Another freak athlete. You can see with this list, I kind of have a theme going. These guys are all freak athletes. 6'3", 230 pounds. This guy was a basketball player, baseball player, track star in high school, multi-sport athlete. Kind of fell under the radar a little bit because Stanford had a bad couple years there in the Pac-12, but still, I have the Bears picking up Elijah Higgins in the 5th round at 136th overall. And with their last pick at 220th overall, I have the Bears taking Antonio Mafi, guard out of UCLA. All right, there's my Chicago Bears mock draft. Like I said, it's the hot topic around town. In this mock draft, I have the Bears picking up 10 total picks in this upcoming draft. So it's going to be an exciting offseason. One of the upcoming episodes, I'm going to go over some of the free agents here in this upcoming free agent period because the Bears do have a lot of money to spend too. But regardless, it is going to be an exciting offseason for the Chicago Bears. All right, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers here a little bit. Aaron Rodgers has kind of been a hot topic in the news. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, their season came to an end again. This time they didn't make the playoffs, and in some of the postseason press conferences, Rodgers was quoted as saying, well, in the right situation, I think I can win an MVP again if I have the right players around me and I'm in the right situation. Getting a lot of flack for that statement. A lot of guys are saying, well, why is he talking about MVP? Why isn't he talking about championships? I'm not really going to knock him for that. I mean, he was asked about his personal performance. He wasn't asked about the team's performance. So he was telling him, I think I can be an MVP, and I'm not going to knock him for that. However, I'm getting tired of this storyline with Rodgers. I mean, what is this, year 3 where we're going into this of, am I going to get traded? Am I going to, sign with somebody else? Am I going to retire? It's like, man, we know what's going on here. You had the same story last year. I think Packers fans are a little sick of it too. I think a lot of them would prefer riding with Jordan Love and seeing what they have with him at this point. Now, there's plenty of teams that are going to be looking for a quarterback this upcoming year. Whether it be the Washington Commanders, the Jets, Miami, Las Vegas, a lot of teams are going to be looking for quarterbacks. But the Packers owe Rodgers something like $90 million over the next 2 years. I don't know if you're going to find a team that's going to want to pay a guy going into his year 39 age season $90 million for the next 2 years. Almost untradeable. They're not going to cut him. I'm just telling you right now, it's going to be the same story as last year. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers next year. Whether Green Bay Packers fans like it, whether Chicago Bears fans like it, we all know he's kicked our ass over the years. Hardly have won any games against Aaron Rodgers. But we'll see what happens next year. But I'm telling you, he's going to be on the Packers roster at least at the start of next season, and he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. All right, we're getting into conference championship week here in the NFL. 2 super exciting games coming up here. I'm really excited for this weekend in football. First, we have the San Francisco 49ers. They're getting 2.5 points in Philadelphia at 2 p.m. on Sunday. The Eagles will look to go back to their second Super Bowl in 5 years, look to win their second Super Bowl in 5 years. And the 49ers will look to return to the Super Bowl after losing 3 years ago to the Kansas City Chiefs. Brock Purdy will look to be the first rookie quarterback to ever make it to the Super Bowl. No rookie quarterback has ever made it to the Super Bowl, let alone win a Super Bowl. The former Mr. Irrelevant will look to prove a lot of NFL teams wrong here and a lot of scouts wrong. And Jalen Hurts will also look to prove a lot of guys wrong, as 31 other teams passed up on him as he was drafted in the second round 3 years ago. This should be a good game. Both teams have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. I mean, we know about the 49ers, Fred Warner, a lot of those guys on defense are really talented. Nick Bosa. Offensively, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, the Eagles, both sides of the ball have talent all over the place. So this is a really fun game to watch, a lot of talent. And the Eagles are coming off a 38-7 victory over the Giants. Absolutely dominated the Giants. I thought the Giants would have done better in that game, but they didn't. Impressive victory for the Eagles, and the Niners are coming off an impressive victory against the Cowboys. Brock Purdy didn't play that well last week, but he didn't turn the ball over. So as long as he can do that, my prediction for this game, I think the 49ers are going to win. I think the talent they have on offense and defense is going to be too much to say. And I've kind of been thinking, and I've kind of been saying that, Brock Purdy's going to show his rookie colors here, in the postseason. Not used to this type of pressure. But I think the Rudy of the NFL, that's who this guy reminds me of, is Rudy from that movie. I think he pulls this game out, and I think the 49ers win 24-21. In the second game on Sunday night, the Kansas City Chiefs are getting 2.5 points right now against the Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of money riding on the Cincinnati Bengals. AFC Championship game, rematch from last year. The Cincinnati Bengals won that game. I'm sure Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid will be looking for revenge here. But Patrick Mahomes is entering this game a little banged up. We saw it last week. He got his ankle rolled up on, kind of twisted the wrong way. It was kind of an outside sprain. A lot of times you see that ankle roll inside. His ankle rolled outside. He sat out for a little bit. He was kind of pissed off. He ended up coming back into the game, was limping around a little bit, still made some plays. But if you look at this game, if Pat Mahomes can't make the plays he's used to, if he can't get out of the pocket, if he can't break those tackles inside of the pocket, that takes away a little bit from him. That's a lot of what his game is getting outside of those pockets and make some of those freak plays. We'll see what happens here. A week off, I don't think that ankle's probably gotten any better. If anything, it's probably more sore than it already was. I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Chiefs move to Chad Henne at some point in this game. I mean, he really sprained that ankle bad. I don't see this guy finishing the game, but we'll see. It's Pat Mahomes. He's unbelievable. And on the other side, you got Joe Burrow playing the best football in the NFL right now. This guy's been unbelievable since about week 5 of the NFL. They're going to look to go to their second straight Super Bowl and possibly win their first ever Super Bowl. The Cincinnati Bengals have never won the Super Bowl, and Joe Burrow will look to bring that Lombardi trophy to Cincinnati. Kind of cool to see, I wouldn't mind seeing that small town like Cincinnati in Ohio have that Super Bowl, have a parade in Cincinnati. I think that'd be cool to see. But my prediction for this game, if anybody can beat the red-hot Cincinnati Bengals, it will be Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. However, I think that injury to Mahomes is going to be too much to overcome, and I think the Cincinnati Bengals win this game 27-19. Actually, I have some money riding on this game. Before the playoffs started, I had a dream that the Bengals and Giants were in the Super Bowl. So I put up $100 on both teams to make it to the Super Bowl. Didn't work out too well for the Giants, but Cincinnati's still in it, so we'll see what happens there. All right, let's do a Suckerfree top 10 here. I love the top 10s, and this top 10 is the top 10 players that are going to be playing this Sunday on Championship Sunday for all 4 teams. At number 10, Trent Williams, the All-Pro left tackle. He was an All-Pro last 2 years. Sits at number 10 on my list. You might be saying, well, he should be higher up, but he's an offensive tackle. No offense to offensive tackles, but it's not the hardest position to play, in my opinion. At number 9, Nick Bosa. This guy might win Defensive Player of the Year. Super good football player, super good size, athlete. I think he makes a difference in this weekend against the Eagles and possibly in the Super Bowl. At number 8, Jamar Chase, prototypical wide receiver. Get this guy in the open field. Get him the ball. He is unstoppable. Really fun player to watch. I like Jamar Chase at number 8. At number 7, I'm going with Jalen Hurts. He's just one of the best players in football. I don't care what you say. Running the ball, passing the ball. Since this guy was in college at Alabama, you could tell this guy is just a football player who gets the job done. At number 6, I'm going with Chris Jones, the dominant defensive tackle for the Chiefs. This guy's a difference maker. If anybody's going to win this game for the Chiefs on Sunday, watch out for Chris Jones getting after Joe Burrow. At number 5, I'm going with Jason Kelce One of the best, if not the best, offensive lineman in the game. His athleticism is unmatched at that position. At number 4, I'm going with Christian McCaffrey. This guy was just born to play football. Watching him is so fun. In the open field, break tackles. For his size, he plays with so much power. I like Christian McCaffrey at number 4. At number 3, I'm going with Travis Kelce. The two brothers make the top 5 here. I don't think the Chiefs would be the Chiefs without Kelce. This guy is the best tight end of all time, in my opinion. He absolutely takes over games. At number 2, I'm going with Patrick Mahomes. As much as a lot of hate Mahomes gets, you can't deny how undeniable this guy's talent is. He's a special player. One of the top players, if not the top player in the game today. But at number 1, I'm going with Cool Joe Burrow. His confidence, composure, pinpoint accuracy. You've seen it all playoffs long. This guy is unbelievable, and I'm taking him as the best player going into championship Sunday and possibly the best player in the NFL. All right, let's get into some Suckerfree Bulls talk.
This is a Suckerfree Sports Talk production. Bulls talk.
The Bulls continue to be extremely frustrating, inconsistent, to the point where you want to punch yourself in the head. It's so frustrating.
But what is going on in this fucking nimwit's fucking head?
After winning 3 games in a row, the Bulls blow a 21-point lead to a depleted Pacers team. Super disappointing. I watched that game start to finish. Thought they had it in the bag, playing really good offense in the first half, and then they just let it all go to shit. In the second half, Patrick Williams and Nikola Vucevic combined for 0 rebounds. The team had 0 threes. Just poor execution. Made no adjustments at halftime. Pacers made all the adjustments, and they ended up winning that game. Just seen it all year long. The Bulls will beat teams like the Nets, the Sixers, the Warriors, the Celtics, the Bucks. Bucks twice. They beat the Bucks twice, and then they come back to lose to teams like the Rockets, Wizards, Pacers. What's going on? You got to be tougher mentally than that. That's so disappointing to see. And then it continues to be a problem in clutch games. They suck ass in clutch games. Billy Donovan has no idea what he's doing when it comes to clutch moments. He doesn't know which players to play. He's got Caruso in there. Caruso can't score. Yeah, he's your best defender, but he can't score. LaVine is one of the worst clutch players I've ever seen. He's one of the worst clutch players in the league. Kept turning it over last game against the Pacers. Kept trying to drive in on McConnell. Kept getting the ball stolen from him. He's not getting the job done right now at the end of the game. And it's something you've seen all career from Zach LaVine. Since he's been in Chicago, in clutch situations, the moment gets the best of him. He doesn't turn it on. You see the best players, the best of the best in the league, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Joel Embiid, Giannis. They become the best in clutch moments, and Zach LaVine becomes his worst in clutch moments. I think at this point, you got to look at start playing some other guys besides Zach at the end of the game. You know, Billy, he loves benching Pat Williams, the youngest guy on the team, the guy who has the most upside. But whenever he makes a mistake, whenever he has sort of a down game, Billy's so quick to bench him and not put him in the fourth quarter. Why don't you do that to Zach LaVine, Billy? Because you don't have the balls to do it. That's why you don't, because you know how much money he makes, and you know Zach LaVine's going to be bitching to the media in the post-game interviews. Grow some balls. Bench Zach LaVine in the postgame. I'm just so tired of this guy this season.
Hey, man. Fucking shit.
I'm sorry. I know he's had some good games, but I am just tired of watching this guy, especially in these clutch games. He does not make the plays he needs to. So the Bulls are going to be heading into the trade deadline on February 9th. February 9th, the trade deadline is already here, and Arturas Kornashevich is going to have to make a decision here. He's going to have to decide whether this core is worth building around or whether he needs to start over and trade some of these guys. They got these next 7 games here against below 500 teams except for the Clippers, and these are the teams the Bulls have struggled with. Now they have this chance to turn it around here, win these games, get above 500 for the first time in a while here, or Arturas is going to have to look at this team and say, okay, I'm blowing this up. Who can I trade? Whether that be DeMar, whether that be Zach, whether that be Vooch. Or this is the other school of thought here. The Bulls win some games, they get above 500, and Arturas looks to build around this core and add some guys at the trade deadline that can help this team. Now, what do they need in the trade deadline if they're going to win some games here? They need a scorer off the bench. They need a guy to come in the fourth quarter and give you, 8, 9, 10 points in the fourth quarter. So let's look at some guys who could add that for the Chicago Bulls in the trade deadline. Number 1, Jordan Clarkson from the Utah Jazz. I think the Jazz are looking at themselves right now like, yeah, we had a good first start to the season, kind of falling off here a little bit, and they could be looking to rebuild. I would look at Jordan Clarkson at the trade deadline for the Bulls. Number 2, Derrick Rose. A reunion with the Bulls would not be the worst thing for both parties. They need a scorer. Derrick Rose isn't getting too many minutes right now for the Knicks. Number 3, Cam Reddish, and another guy who's in the doghouse with Tom Thibodeau with the Knicks. I would look for the Bulls to add him. He's a good scorer. He's a good athlete. Another guy, Alec Burks for the Detroit Pistons. This guy's another guy who can score off the bench, instant offense. He's actually having a really good year for the Pistons. Should be able to get him for like a second-round pick, something like that. And another guy you might have to give up a little bit more to get this guy, first-round pick, even though the Bulls don't really have one, is Terry Rozier. Scary Terry. He's having a really good season for the Charlotte Hornets. He could add some instant offense off the bench for the Bulls. So we'll see what happens here. Like I said, 7-game stretch. They have a game tonight against the Charlotte Hornets, who aren't doing very well. LaMelo Ball is out. We'll see what happens. They got to start beating some of these bad teams, though. All right, let's get into some who's hot and who's not, NBA edition.
Dun, dun, da, da, da. Da, 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 da.
Who's hot? I'm going with Kawhi Leonard. Over his last 8 games played, Kawhi Leonard is averaging 29 points, 7 rebounds, shooting over 50% from the field. After missing some time to start the season, he didn't play in too many games. He's starting to play a little bit more here. Still sitting out every once in a while. But the Clippers are riding a 3-game winning streak, and Kawhi Leonard is one of the hottest players in the NBA. Who's not? I'm going with Kevin Love. Over his last 10 games played, Kevin Love is averaging just 5.3 points per game. He's had 2 scoreless games. He's shooting 30% from the field. I think the Cavs might look to move Kevin Love before the trade deadline, as his minutes have kind of fallen off the map as well. All right, let's get into some shit that really grinds my gears.
I hate this fucking shit.
If you guys don't know, this is a segment, Shit That Pisses Me Off. We talk about stuff that generally pisses me off in the world, whether it be in the sports world or elsewhere. And with that, at number 1, Snapple. Who remembers Snapple? As a young boy, one of my favorite beverages was a Snapple. My mom would always buy a 6-pack. It would always be in the fridge. Snapple was a satisfying drink, and it had that snapping bottle cap, which is a satisfying touch. You heard that bottle cap snap off a Snapple? Really satisfying. It also had a little a fun fact inside of the bottle cap there. But now, you go to the store and you get a Snapple. It comes in a plastic bottle. You wouldn't even notice it in the refrigerator. Snapple has you would thought Snapple discontinued and ceases to exist, but it still exists. They're just in crappy plastic bottles. The whole fun of Snapple was that it was in a glass bottle. It was super satisfying to drink, super refreshing. Snapple, you're ruining your brand here, if they haven't already ruined it. I used to see people drinking them all the time. You see it in pop culture, in movies and TVs. Now, Dr. Pepper Corporation, who owns Snapple, they're going to say, well, it's better for the environment to have plastic bottles because we have to use less energy to create them. What? I call bullshit on that. Isn't glass made from sand? Isn't glass recyclable? How is that better for the environment? I call bullshit. It's all about cutting costs. Go back to the glass bottles if you want any hope of saving your brand, Snapple. I won't drink it until it is in glass bottles once again. All right, number 2 here. This isn't really some shit that pisses me off. It's just some shit I don't really understand. Guys who think Doja Cat is hot. Now, if you're an old-timer and you don't know who Doja Cat is, she is a popular pop star. Probably the most popular pop star in music today. To me, her music isn't that great. I guess some of it is pretty catchy. I don't know. But all the time, whether I'm in the barbershop or at work or at the gym, all I ever hear is guys talk about, oh man, Doja Cat, she's so hot, man. I would clap them cheeks, whatever. I don't know about that, man. Even before she got a little weird with this Hollywood stuff, she wasn't really that hot. She kind of had a weird look to her. Kind of looked like she was born prematurely, or she has kind of a weird stink to her or something. Now, if you've seen her lately, it has gotten much, much worse. I'm going to look at this. We're going to react to this picture here. Doja Cat at Fashion Week. I don't know what she's got going on here. Dressed in all red. She looks like a demon baby. I don't know if this is some weird like Hollywood stuff going on. This looks like she's from a horror movie, Hellraiser or something. If you think she's hot, if you want to be with Doja Cat looking like this, you probably belong in a sanitarium or something like that. I just don't get it. You know, back when I was a kid, you know, the hottest chicks were like Halle Berry and Heather Locklear. Nowadays, it's Doja Cat and Kylie Jenner. I don't know. Scaraboo, not really attractive to me. In related news to shit that pisses me off, if you've seen lately, Brad Underwood and Illinois coaches are wearing suits. Really good to see. I guess Brad Underwood must have been watching my show, one of the earlier segments of shit that pisses me off. I talked about how coaches don't wear suits anymore, and they kind of wear these dumb pajama things. But Brad Underwood and the Illini coaching staff are starting to look like gentlemen again, and the opposing teams that come in to Champaign have been wearing suits as well. So that's been good to see. Related to that, Illinois basketball, they're kind of a team similar to Chicago Bulls. They'll get a big win against a good team, and then they'll turn around and have a head-scratching loss. They had a bad loss to Northwestern a few weeks ago. They had a bad loss to Indiana, their rival. And then they bounced back the other day to beat Ohio State. Pretty decent Ohio State team. Big Ten has just been down this year, though. If you look at the Big Ten, the only ranked team is Purdue, who's ranked number 1 overall. Other than that, you have no ranked teams in the Big Ten. I don't know when's the last time you've seen that. You usually have 5 or 6 ranked teams in the Big Ten. Rutgers has been playing pretty well. I really like that team. They're actually one of the best defensive teams in the nation. But other than Purdue, you have no ranked teams in the Big Ten. But as for the Illini, they will take on Wisconsin for the second time this month in Madison on Saturday after beating them 79-69 on January 7th. Hopefully the Illini can get a good win after beating Ohio State on Tuesday. What else is going on around Chicago? I heard today on 670, Jason Bonetti, the voice of the Chicago White Sox, him and Steve Sohn, they ended up signing a contract extension. I know some Chicago White Sox fans were worried that they're going to lose Jason Bonetti. Jason Bonetti is one of the best color guys in the industry. He does a lot of football, basketball. He does some Bulls games with Stacey King. I always love when he does Bulls games with Stacey King. But the Sox end up signing Jason Bonetti. Good to see. You know, you got to love your TV guys. If you're a fan of a local sports, you know, you get close to these guys. Like I always say, Stacey King, it wouldn't be the same. Bulls games wouldn't be the same without listening to Stacey. The day he leaves the Chicago Bulls is going to be a sad day. But as for the White Sox, they ended up re-signing these two guys, Steve Stone and Jason Bonetti, two of the best in the business. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for Suckerfree Sports Talk. Like always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channels. Follow me on all my social media platforms. And remember, if you're going to talk sports, always keep it sucker-free.